Okay, so the three key messages of today. In particular, my presentation is focused on point 3. So what opportunities you have to support your energy efficiency projects at local level with Horizon 2020 program on energy efficiency. And I will share with you 4 of those opportunities. What we didn't say about the climate energy targets is that they will require to be met a lot of investments. So the estimations are about 150, between 150 and 200 billions per year to invest in the sustainable energy to meet the climate and energy targets. And you might realize that public funds are not enough for reaching those level of investments. Moreover, 50% of those investments are needed in the housing sector, which means in the renovation of our house and our homes. The first topic I would like to present to you, it's really about the demonstration that decarbonization of buildings and making buildings more energy efficient is possible. And we expect proposals in this topic that demonstrate that the deep renovation or nearly zero energy buildings are more reliable. The way of renovating them is faster, is cheaper, and it's easier to implement, and as also impacts not only on energy but also on a better environment and better health conditions for occupants of houses. So the focus of the proposal is to demonstrate also that this clean energy solution can be cost effectively integrated into the renovation of buildings, and of course that the replication potential of this solution is high, and it's also possible to realize and finance those concepts. The deadline for participating to this topic is 15th of January next year, 2020. The EU contribution, as it always happens for Horizon 2020 coordination and support action, is 100%. But yeah, this one is really very close in time, and in case you're interested, I would have a look at example of successful building renovation projects, because we have a lot. So you won't start from a blank page, luckily. And what I put in this slide, it's a bit of references to previous projects which were successful. And also I would like to stress that there is a portal which is called Build Up, and it's the European portal for energy efficiency in buildings, and it's a very good way to get more resources on this kind of projects. If we move to the second opportunity I would like to show you today is the so-called project development assistance. And here the idea is to obtain a grant to build the technical, economic, and legal expertise needed for developing a project and for financing a project at the end of the project duration. So the idea is that project development assistance doesn't fund the investments, let's say the bricks, but it funds the brains. So it funds all the brain work needed to remove the market barriers and to mobilize the private finance. So here is critical to aggregate projects, because usually what we see in energy efficiency is that projects don't have a big size. If you think about renovation in the housing sector, there are a lot of small projects with a small investment needed. And so here the aggregation is critical to reach a size which is interested for investments. The sectors that can be targeted are, of course, buildings. I mean, we are really focusing on renovation on buildings, but you can also propose projects on industry, services, urban transport, and infrastructures. There's there are two elements which are interesting for this topic. The first one is that the investments need to be launched before the end of the project with a 115 leverage ratio, which means that for every euro you receive in funding, you need to activate at least 15 euros of investments. The other element, which is unique for project development assistance, is that you can participate as a single entity. So proposals from one single entity are eligible, while in the other type of project, usually you need to have at least 3 organizations from 3 different countries. The deadline here is the 10th of September 2020. EU contribution is always 100%. So in this case, there's quite a good time to be prepared and to start thinking about receiving technical assistance. As an example of a project which was very successful and started as a PDA, it's Énergie Positive in the Île-de-France region. And Énergie Positive managed to put in place a business model for deep retrofit of multifamily buildings in the Île-de-France region, the region of Paris. And they developed with the EU fund an all-inclusive package to allow this deep renovation. And they managed to have 42 contracts signed in the end, of which 8 are condominiums, so more than 2,000 homes, and they are currently refurbishing homes for a level of investment which is more than 35 million. They also managed, because they were successful, to follow up and obtain a loan with the European Investment Bank, the so-called European Fund for Strategic Investment of 100 million. And if we talk of the European Investment Bank, there is a technical assistance which is called Elena. So it has the almost the same features of the PDA I just presented to you. So it will finance brain work for removing market barriers. But here the size of investment is a bit bigger. So we start at around 30 million. The leverage ratio for energy projects is 1 to 20, while it's 1 to 10 for other sectors like transport. And I mean, one specific feature is that there are no calls. So basically, if you're interested in developing a project using an Elena grant, you should contact directly the European Investment Bank and propose a project. You see in the map that there are quite a lot of projects around Europe, but still there is a good amount of budget available for financing projects. So if you're interested, you have a lot of project as an example. You just go to the EIB website and you navigate in the project map. And if you think your idea are mature enough to contact the EIB, you just send an email to that email address. So we said that mobilizing private finance is fundamental because public funds are not enough to reach the level of investment which is needed for achieving climate and energy targets. And the innovative financing for energy efficiency investment is focused exactly on that. So the idea is that the proposals should set up new innovative and operational at the end of the project financing schemes. This means they can work on dedicated credit lines, guarantee facilities, citizen financing schemes, crowdfunding, models for deep renovation of buildings. And in this kind of topic, proposals can also replicate previously successful solutions, for instance, developed under a PDA project. So, for instance, the model for deep renovation of buildings, which was developed in the Energy Positive project, it can be replicated in another country, for instance, and financed under this topic. The deadline is the same for PDA, so it's 10th of September 2020, and the EU contribution is 100%. In terms of city level, the City Invest project is a very good example of a successful project which worked on innovative financing schemes in Belgium, Bulgaria, and Spain. They focused on revolving funds, energy performance contracting, third-party financing, and cooperative models. But they also developed an interesting analysis of 26 innovative financing models applied in Europe with their pros and cons and their opportunities and barriers at city level. So that's interesting, I think, for you. And on the website, you will also find some capacity building and training resources and a portal which offers you guidance on the innovative financing schemes. And to conclude, we are now running the European City Facility. This is not a topic under the Horizon 2020 Call 2020. It's already operational. We are lucky enough to have Climate Alliance in the consortium of the consortium developing the project. So the idea with the European City Facility is that some cities have a lot of potential to develop sustainable energy investments, but they are not probably ready to immediately start with a PDA project or a technical assistance project, or to go directly and speak with investors to have their projects ideas financed. So this facility will provide financial support and services to municipalities in using cascade funding approach. So the facility will provide lump sums of maximum 60,000 euros. And with those lump sums, the cities will need to develop what we call investment concepts, which are straightforward documents, simple documents, which can be the basis for launching investments afterwards. So, for instance, an investment concept should identify what is the sector to be targeted, for instance, renovation of buildings, what is the potential project pipeline, which is able to reach a critical mass of investment, for instance, pooling different buildings which needs renovation, or not only in the maybe in the constituency, but also aggregating buildings in other constituencies. What are the financing strategy that can be used to finance the renovation projects, for instance, and what are the initial legal and governance analysis that needs to be done to remove the first market barriers and then develop the investments. There is also another opportunity that I would like to present you, and it's called Manage Energy. So Manage Energy is an initiative which is dedicated to energy agencies. It's a capacity building initiative. So Manage Energy offers training in energy efficiency financing for energy agencies. But Manage Energy can also accept municipalities which have a mandate for sustainable energy investment. So if you are public officers, if you work in a municipality and you work for instance, in the energy department, and you have a mandate which is also to develop energy projects, then you might be interested in attending a masterclass of Manage Energy, because those masterclasses deliver high quality trainings in sustainable energy financing, and moreover, the expenses for selected participants are covered. The only issue is that we have two master classes still remaining. The first one is mid-October, so very soon, but I think there are still available places, and it's all about the involvement of banks and the mobilization of private investments, while in February 2020, so there is a bit more time to think about it, it's 3 days dedicated to the development and use of financial instruments. So that's a very good opportunity if you want to develop a bit your skills on energy efficiency financing. You have the website there, and you can go there and have a look at all the opportunities offered by Manage Energy. So to conclude, I just listed all the information I touched very quickly upon during my presentation. So you have the EU Energy and Climate Vision, you have the work program of Horizon 2020, and the presentation and recordings for the Info Days. They will for sure give more details than I gave you during these 10 minutes. And the website of SCI Forum, which is another initiative which is about sustainable energy investments and Manage Energy. It was very, very quick. I hope it was interesting for you. In case you have any questions, you have my email address, and you also have the email address of EASME Energy Unit. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Michele. Do you have 1 minute if there are any immediate questions?
Yes, of course.
Anybody?
Well, one clear question I have, for instance, I'm from Holland, and we have several municipalities now putting fairly large funding in the tens of millions aside for deep renovation. But they're doing that themselves, and we need some guidance in order to let them take part in these kind of larger programs, because they do it isolated, and that creates a big risk. But they're anyway doing it. So what kind of guidance is there if we know 2 or 3 of these local governments already acting on deep renovation and investing together over 70 million euros to be able to join in a European cooperation?
Did you catch all of that, Michele?
Yeah, I hope so. So if I understood correctly, there are quite a lot of municipalities in the Netherlands who are already involved in deep renovation of buildings, and they also have the money to develop those projects. Is that correct? But they need the guidance.
Yes, but the impression is that they're acting alone and individually with their own funds rather than looking to aggregate and join a larger project potentially. So is there some kind of route to link them up with others or to access other European support?
Yeah. Well, for instance, the project development assistance opportunity can be very interesting because, as I said, it doesn't fund the concrete. I mean, the projects in concrete. The investment need to be activated at the end, but it funds the brain work needed for removing the market barriers. So, for instance, those municipalities can, I mean, there could be some kind of aggregator maybe in the region who can present a project under PDA to possibly offer technical and legal assistance to those municipalities to develop the investments. That's an idea.
And I guess eventually the city facility could provide some funding to enable that linking up to happen.
Yes, that's another opportunity. Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Is that, yeah? Was that enough, or did
Yeah,
that reply to your question?
Yeah, they're happy. They're nodding. You can't see that, but they're nodding. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah. Okay, then any others? The email address is there. As I say, we'll share the presentation as well with a couple of colleagues who weren't able to be here, but thank you very much for joining. And well, hopefully you've now encouraged a few more people to apply for calls for proposals.
Yes, hope so. And well, I wish you a very good continuation of your conference, and enjoy Rostock.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Michele. See you. I'll close the meeting now. Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Bye bye. Thanks.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.